Longboarding is surprisingly accessible to anyone who wants to learn how to do it. Last year, around my 46th birthday, I just got the idea in my head that maybe I could learn how to longboard, and I just taught myself how to do it. If you believe that everyone should be able to skateboard, go ahead and hit like for me right now, even if you haven't learned anything yet. My goal was to just be able to go and flow on a long ride down smooth streets, and I can do that, and it's really enjoyable. And over quarantine, it's proven to be a really fun hobby that I can do with my sons as well. And sometimes my sons join me, although they're not going to be in this video because they don't want to. It's good exercise, and it gets me outside where I can get some fresh air and sunshine and some movement other than yoga in my life. Now, a good way to get started with it is to do some yoga warm-ups. So whether that's like some forward bends to get your hamstrings warmed up, or some hip openers. All these things are good to get your legs prepped and primed. And then you also want to do some movement through your arms and upper body and torso, just to get your whole body kind of flowing and going and ready for movement and exercise, because it just works better if everything's a little bit warmed up and stretched out and open before you start. You also probably want to do some ankle rolls. Like you can spell your name or just do circles with your ankles. Whatever you do, just make sure you repeat it on both sides. The way that I first taught myself, I had an old skateboard from Walmart. This is actually not that board. I ended up giving that one to a neighbor kid who showed some interest. She just came over and hopped on when my son and I were outside skating. And so since she showed interest and she showed some promise with it, and just some natural ability, I just gave her that first board that I learned on. So I don't have that one to show you now, but I have this, which is the board that my son's currently been using. And it actually has some issues. It's got loose chucks, and so he needs a new board real soon too. But anyways, what I did with that old Walmart board, and we'll just pretend this is the one, is I set it on the street, and I just had it in mind that since I could do tree pose in yoga, I knew I could do a tree pose and hold that. I knew I had that much balance. So I figured out which way was my stance, which mine is actually goofy. And I just started to practice standing on the board. So standing on the board and then pretending to push. And I actually didn't do this on the AstroTurf. I did it outside on the street, but you can do this on grass. So the board doesn't roll at all. And you just practice stepping on the board and lifting that side foot off. And you want to be up toward the front of your board with your feet in between the trucks. And this just gets you used to being on the board and standing and balancing on it. And then eventually practice also setting one foot, the back foot on. Just hang out like this. And with it not rolling at all, it's pretty easy. I say it's easy as I fall off.
Don't be such a big bird.
So here's the actual board that I first picked up to try to learn how to skate on. It has poor retention of speed. See, if I put the wheel here and just, even if I stepped on it and pushed off with my back foot, it barely rolled at all. And that actually was a good thing for me when I was first starting, because I got to practice just the feeling of standing with both feet on the board with it just barely going. And then eventually I was able to string those small baby pushes together into a chain that meant that I was actually staying on the board for a while and like able to make it down a whole street without stopping. So that was pretty fun. The cool thing was when I still had that old Walmart board, my son would see me, he was 11 at the time, he would see me practicing on it, and he decided to try and jump on too. And what do you know, he could skate too. And so we ended up getting him his own board a few months later after he got better at it, which is now this board that he's, as you can see, ridden the crud out of. So he's really actually better than I am at skating, and he can do all kinds of tricks and ollies and things, or quite a few. He's very modest, and he doesn't think that he's as good as I think he is, but he's definitely better than I am. However, I still want to show you how to longboard because I still think it's also something that you guys might enjoy. Even if you're older, even if you're not a teenager or in your 20s anymore, you might be glad if you can learn how to longboard yourselves, as I did at the age of 46. All right, so let's go out onto the street now and we'll practice some longboarding out there. So after I had been skateboarding on the crappy cheap board for about 3 months, we were up to December and my husband bought me this longboard for Christmas. He bought this one off Amazon for me. Well, it was like a whole new world for me.
You know, it just keeps going and going.
It was just what I had wanted. I actually didn't really want to learn on this skateboard, but it was all I had. I had wanted more of a longboard style because I wasn't really interested in doing tricks or anything. I was just interested in cruising. And so I don't really have progress videos to show you of myself, but I just wanted to show you that you can learn even in your 40s and that you'll probably be really glad you did. So like I said, I started out on that other board and I just was in the street and I had one foot on, I figured out my stance, and then the other foot was on the ground and I would just go really slow, pushing off and just moving. And that was kind of how I started. And then when I got more used to the balance, I started being able to set one foot on the back just for a little bit at a time. Pretty soon I got to where I could actually stay on the board for a couple of seconds before I had to put my foot back on the ground. So it was like, it looked like this. And I didn't know how to stop at all. The only way I could stop would be to jump off. So I would do like this. And that would be how I'd stop, which was kind of dangerous because one time I got going down a hill and I jumped off and the skateboard went like that out into a street. Luckily no cars were coming, but if a car had been on the way, it could have caused an accident or almost, it could have been really bad. So if you do jump off your board, just remember to kick your board back behind you. If you're stopping by jumping off, just kick it back behind you so you have some control instead of letting it just zoom out in front to do God knows what kind of chaos in your neighborhood. The better way to stop that I finally figured out is to foot brake. And so what a foot brake looks like is you're moving along and then you just put your foot down. Moving along, and then you just put your foot down. And if you're going faster, your foot will just slide. It'll kind of slide. And it can wear out the bottoms of your shoes eventually. So just try to put the pressure equally on all parts of the sole of the foot so your shoes can last longer. All right, let's go for a skate around the neighborhood.
That's a car, Mom. Mom, I think we need to restart. I think I messed something up.
Doesn't matter. We'll just go down this street.
I messed something up with the recording.
It's okay. What'd you do? Appreciate you just being a trooper and hanging out with me. really neat journey so far. One of the things that I'm working on now is turning, because I can show you how my turns look. Sometimes I actually can't quite turn all the way. Like if I'm trying to do a complete 360 or 180 U-turn, I don't make it all the way. So I need to learn how to pop the nose and then turn on the tail. What do you call that, Griffin? The tail pop?
Kick turn.
Kick turn. What am I thinking?
Edit that in.
I'll show you what my turn looks like right now. So see, I don't make it all the way. Try again. Oh, you know what? Don't get me doing this. Okay, this way. So that's something I'm working on. If you have any tips for me, I would appreciate it. If you believe that everyone should be able to learn to skate, go ahead and hit like for me, hit subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. There's this hill in my neighborhood. It actually terrifies me. It's really steep. I'm not sure exactly how fast I get going, but when I've gone on it before, I know I'm probably going at least 10 or 20 miles an hour. And when I was brand new or pretty new to longboarding, I didn't realize how fast I was going or like the danger involved. And so actually like bombed down this little hill a couple times, kind of without realizing how scary it actually was. And then one day it just hit me that I was going really fast and I used the foot brake. And since then I haven't been able to go down this hill. I haven't been able to make it down this hill again without braking about halfway down. And so that's why today I am going to be wearing all the safety gear. I've got even these hand glove things, elbow pads, and I'm putting on the knee pads now. Kind of my nemesis. Beautiful day. Doesn't look so uphill, but when you're actually walking it or riding it, you can definitely feel how uphill it is. And then when you're coming the other way, of course, how downhill it is. Ooh, it's so fun, but it's a little on the scary side, but I felt a little less scared with all the safety gear on. Enjoy trying to learn to skateboard, longboard in your 40s and beyond. Anything's possible if you have the right preparation and willpower. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.